Here. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. We're going to play some guitar. We're bringing in our Zoom friends into our guitar club. You can also watch it on YouTube. And I had a pick. No, it's gone. Thank you so much. You have to turn the sound off. Okay, there it is. Hey.
Where is that coming in?
You probably,
Oh.
there it is. Good. Okay, so here we are. We have some friends that are coming in. Oh, yeah. Alan Robinson is here. Liam is here. If you want to join the Zoom, you can just go to julifinn.com, JULIFINN. Hey, Alan. Hey, Dustin. Hey, Liam. Welcome. We are live in the barn right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me get some professional lighting here. There we go. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Do you want to play a tune?
Sure.
Okay, 1,
Ready?
2, diddly diddly do. I'm gonna
Original
tune.
sound set to on. Okay, there we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
So,
Thanks, guys.
okay, so first thing, is anybody waiting in the, okay, so James came in the,
Oh, right
you
on.
know, as we were in the middle of it.
Welcome,
So,
James.
yeah, welcome. So how's the sound, does everything sound okay?
Can you put it on speaker?
Sounds awesome.
Gallery.
Gallery, yes.
Okay, yeah, we can hear, you can hear everything. That's good.
How do I do
This,
that?
up in the right corner, it says view,
View,
so put it on
Gallery.
gallery. Yeah, there we all are.
cool.
So tell us what's up, friends. Anyone have some fun gigs? Or great news to report?
Well, we're trying to get Alan Robinson up here to go, to do some clinics at Berkeley because he has a new book out.
You have a new book?
Well, I don't know, but the same one.
Well, I've got the one that John wrote the foreword for, the harmonic expansion process, and then last May I did a second book called Mastering Chord Forms, and I do have a third one, but it's not going to be ready till the summer. But I guess I got nothing better in life to do than write books right now.
Oh my God.
Well, once you get your PhD, you get a little bit.
Well, I think I'm under pressure because this is my third year review. I just finished my faculty review last night, so it's getting ready to be my third year review because I got 2 more years and then I can apply for my tenure. And so we'll
tenure.
see how that all goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I got to
We want
write some
that.
books, and do some recordings, and I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, yeah.
And
And I also saw you have a, oops, there's something, feedback. You have a new YouTube channel or streaming or something? The Guitar Doctor?
Yeah, I last week, last Tuesday, yeah, I started the first episode of my new show. It's going to air every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, called "The Guitar Doctor Is In," and
Right on.
and
That's
so
what it is.
we did well, I kind of slide guitar in at the top, but yeah, so we started that last week with our first show being a live show, and then tomorrow night I'll probably do another live show at the end of this month, but tomorrow night's is pre-recorded. Matter of fact, we recorded it this afternoon because I thought we were going to do it live, and then I realized yesterday that I can't do it live because I've got my ensemble's rehearsal for my college students, and then I have to grade a recital for a senior, and then I have to go rehearse with the faculty jazz during the time. So I can't do a show tomorrow night, so I recorded it. But yeah, so check it out if you get a chance. It's
We will.
it's on my YouTube channel. And it should be
Maybe put the link in the chat.
sure. Let me. I'll figure out how to do that here in a minute.
All right. And for those of you on TikTok,
we are talking to Alan Robinson, professor at Belmont University, professor of guitar, actually.
Dr. Alan Robinson.
Dr. Alan Robinson. You got to
give the props.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express once. That's it.
Wait, he's saying something. We didn't hear.
Oh, I said it's no accolades. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express once. That's it.
Right on. All right, anybody else? Books, gigs. James, you've been doing some fun gigs, I see on Instagram.
I was in Rome, New York,
Right
At a-
on.
place called the Capitol Theater over the weekend.
Ooh, doing what?
And so I played with a band called Return to Paradise. It's a Styx tribute band.
Ooh.
Oh,
And-
I think I've been seeing stuff about that.
And we were playing with a band that does like Foreigner and Journey tribute as well. So we did 2 bands at the one night at the Capitol Theater, and the highlight must have been when we were loading out the gear at the end of the night. It was -6 degrees.
Ooh.
So,
Yikes.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that was
that's fun. That's fun. Play the gig, and like sweating your brains out, and then all the sweat like basically sticks to your clothes, which then stick to your skin.
We had that when we played up in
Oh
Stowe.
my God! Yeah, it was.
What was the name of that place?
Uh,
I think it was about the same as we were loading out.
the drunken moose. The
No, that's the Mangy Moose.
The Meiji. Oh,
That's
so,
the Jackson.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, but it was a very, very cold winter.
So today it was 42 degrees here back on Long Island, so it felt like summer compared to
Wow.
the
So
weekend.
we have that false spring thing happening.
Yeah, we're like at like 30 something, like higher than
38.
32. So
37.
yeah, so like beach time, yay!
We had a little bit of snow overnight though.
Yeah,
It was
we
very
did.
fluffy.
72 in Nashville.
72.
Oh, that's terrible. I feel your pain.
72, I think, is my favorite temperature. It's also the year I was born, so there's a lot of magic in that year. And temperature. All right, Liam.
Can't hear you yet.
We don't hear you. Okay, one sec. What about Dustin? You've been playing some gigs, you said. A duo?
Yeah, I've been helping out my friend Ian, who just got his first EP out. We haven't really been doing any gigs, but he's adding songs for the re-release of the EP, and he's asked me to, add some lead guitar, some counter melodies, things like that. So we've been working on writing a little bit of that.
Yeah, Dustin's specialty is atmosphere guitar.
Atmosphere.
Yeah. I don't know about atmospheric, but coming up with little riffs and counter melodies.
Yeah.
And then another interesting little project we have in the works. Friend of mine that lives here in town. Her name's Stephanie, and her husband's Ben. He's a bass player. She's a guitarist and singer, and she absolutely loves Fleetwood Mac. So she wants to do a Fleetwood Mac tribute band,
Ooh,
which
that sounds like a
I
win.
am all about being the Lindsey Buckingham in a Fleetwood Mac tribute
Nice.
band, because
You'll
I
have
have.
to wear the wooden balls.
Yeah.
Well-
You know what the wooden balls?
Oh yeah, that's Mick Fleetwood, isn't that?
Oh, that's
Right?
Mick
That's
Fleetwood.
Mick
You're right.
Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
I think at this point the only thing I'm gonna need to wear is a wig, because
Okay.
can't really pull off '70s Lindsey Buckingham the look, but it's been kind of cool to get into some of those like songs like World Turning and The Chain, and get into the finger style Travis
Oh,
picking
yeah.
stuff.
We
So
did the chain a few times at the expo.
yeah, we did.
That's
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a nice-
double
good
double
group.
drop D tuning. Is that how you did it? Or
Yeah, and then you capo on the second fret.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
So one thing I've noticed is, there's a lot more tribute bands around than there used to be.
Yeah.
But not only that, one thing I've started to notice, I don't know if any of you have started to notice this, but there are starting to be some tribute bands that are I would classify them as mashup tributes. So, like for example, there's a band going around now called Steely Dead.
Whoa.
And what they're doing is they're doing Steely Dan tunes, but like jamming on them in the style of Grateful Dead,
Whoa.
which is kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah,
That's a
'cause
really
the
cool
versions
concept.
are
I wouldn't
so
have thought
fun.
about that.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that
but
be fun?
yeah,
Play a 5-minute solo on Kid Charles.
I mean, at the same time, I think it kind of depends, like, I don't know, like,
Those two vibes are way different.
yeah, they're way different, but and I don't know, like, I'm definitely a to each your own person, but I've never been able to, I've never listened to the Dead stuff and think, oh, I get it, I just don't get
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
Friend of
Not to
mine
say
sent
that-
me a YouTube video similar to that concept mashup, and it's one of the Beatles songs. I forget which one it is, but done as if Led Zeppelin had recorded that song.
Oh.
And,
are you talking about the video where the Beatles sang Stairway to Heaven?
That's it. That's it. I had it backwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was,
Yeah.
And it's kind of all poppy.
I saw that. That's hilarious.
Isn't it just? Yeah.
Like it's.
I love the mashup of Staying Alive and AC/DC.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that one?
I have.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Staying alive.
Could tell by the way I use my pop. Who did
Yeah,
that? That's
so great.
genius. I actually like it a little better than the original.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, you're right, I do too.
Oh, all right. So should we play some stuff, or do you want to talk about Dorian, or what do you want to do, John? Lay it on us. Warm
Well,
ups.
okay, well, tell us what you're doing.
What am I doing?
What are you doing?
Okay. I'm teaching a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Julie's teaching at Berkeley, in case you don't know that.
I teach at Berkeley.
Yeah.
I teach music technology, and then I'm still teaching at Shenandoah,
Yeah.
songwriting and guitar.
Yeah.
Um,
And didn't you get a gig?
I got a gig. We're going to be playing, John and I together
Yeah.
with the Cape Symphony down in Barnstable.
Barnstable, Mass.
Yep, we're
With-
playing a fun gig called And the Winner Is.
Yeah.
So it's the Godfather theme, the Grand Budapest Hotel. Have you guys seen that movie? Oh, it's so great.
Yeah. So it's the kind of thing, like, I've done a fair amount of gigs with orchestras. Julie's done a fair amount of gigs with orchestras, and but this is the first time we get to actually do it together.
And
So-
who doesn't love staying down the Cape?
Yeah.
So the fun thing is, John got the gig, and then he was looking through the parts, and he's like, oh, there's a guitar two part. So he put it out there, if you guys need a guitar two, Julie can do it. And then the guy wrote back and said, did Julie play bass? And I was like, yeah. So we're going to be trading. So John's doing mandolin, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and I'm doing bass. But when he's doing the mandolin, I'm doing the
Either the guitar or bass, depending on
yeah,
what we need.
depending on what we need.
Yeah.
So we're splitting the books. That's fun. And then we have a gig March 8th.
March 8th.
Yeah, in Westford. That's going to be wonderful. The full band, a full set,
The full Monty.
the full, no, not the full.
No, not
Monty.
really, but
That would not be fun.
I will be maintaining all my clothes,
Yes,
as you will
you
too.
should, yes.
Yeah.
But we're excited. We had this gig in Somerville last weekend. I think we told you guys about it, with So Far. It was wonderful. It was sold out. We played with two other amazing artists, Jake Pine and the Swamp,
Yep.
and then Joey and Friends.
So, the
Three
cool,
totally different bands.
the cool thing about that gig, the way that they do it is they, they'll book like three different bands and put them in a venue that doesn't ordinarily book shows. So, and then people who are, then there's there's a clientele of people who are, I guess, So Far subscribers.
Yeah,
And, they're the kind of people that want to go out, they want to go out and do different things. And, so when you buy a ticket, you don't know until the day of the show where it is or who's playing. So, I mean, I think the
and
tickets
it's
are really
about the music. Like, it's not a bar. Like this gig in particular was.
it was like an art gallery.
It's called the Figurative Art Center.
Yeah.
And the first guy was like, does this place really exist? That was the
Oh, that's
running
right, because
joke.
it's figurative.
Figurative, right. So, but this special occasion, it was BYOB. So people brought bottles of wine or they just hung out and had snacks, but it was so fun. And I was a little worried because, of course, we're not indie pop, we're not folk, alt folk or whatever.
Yeah, we do what we do.
So I heard the first guy and I was like, oh my gosh, are they gonna like us? But they loved us.
Yeah.
They all loved everybody. So it was just a joy.
That's one of the things I think about too. It's like I always seem to come back to that same principle is that, I think if you give people a chance, they will like almost anything that's done well.
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
So I
If you
feel like our
appreciate good
job,
music.
I feel like it's our job is to try to create the music that we love, and then just try to share it with people, and then just kind of trust that they're going to get it.
Yeah. We trusted in ourselves.
Yeah.
It was so fun. It was really cool.
But we just did our normal weird thing.
Yeah.
As unfocused and as indulgent as it is.
And then when the guy introducing us, he said, these guys have been playing together since 1988.
Yeah, which is
And-
true.
And has anyone in the room, were you alive in 88? And nobody was, except us.
Yeah, like I think 3 people actually raised their
We're
hands.
clearly the oldest ones there, but
Yeah.
it was nice to be appreciated.
Did you guys get a chance to bring out some of the new tunes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It was
did.
all new tunes.
Nice.
All
How goes the work on the new record?
Good. You know, one like we're the first tune is we're almost finished mixing. I have all the, you know, I handed the files off to the guy who's going to do the mix, and we're just communicating via email to try to get it tweaked.
Yeah.
And it's really close.
And then
So
off to mastering.
once we get that, I feel like the subsequent tunes are going to go easier.
Yeah, a
you
lot
know.
of them are already recorded.
Yeah, well, almost all of them are recorded, and we
Yeah.
just have, you know, we've got a few that we're gonna finish up.
Yeah.
but-
So
So-
exciting.
So.
Do you want to do a warm up? You want to take us through a fun warm up? Or
Sure.
what do you guys want to study today? Do we want to study anything? Should we just play?
Well, one of the things, so, True Fire asked me to do this thing called boot camp. And what they wanted me to do was to film 2 lesson videos, like 20 to 30 minutes each. And over the last couple of days, I'm working on the second one, which was what they wanted me to do was style explorations. You know, which would basically, you know, it basically asks the question: if you're a guitar player and you're interested in exploring different styles, what do you do? So, and I think I get why they asked me to do it. It's because, you know, as a player, you know, I'm somebody who's always had a really short attention span. So, you know, what ends up happening is I'll play for rock for a little while, and it's like, you know, and then it's like, oh, look, shiny, jazz, oh, country, blues, you know. So
Who else is like that? I am.
Julie
I
very
mean,
much
I
like
think that it's if you're in and down to explore the guitar, and you're just into guitar, it's natural that we would want to try everything.
Yeah.
We're
So
just drawn to it, I think. All these sounds, like how many sounds can we create?
so let me put the question out to all of you. Like, what's the difference in your mind between a jazz player versus a rock player versus a country player? I have some thoughts, but I want to know what yours are. So jazz versus rock versus country, let's say.
Can I
introduce?
Sorry, that was very loud. I don't know why. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can't.
I don't know what the heck just happened there. I used to have a guitar teacher in college, and at the time I was kind of very much into classical and also very much into heavy metal, and that intersection, like big Richie Blackmore fan, and realizing that there was an intersection between heavy metal and classical, and I remember asking him, my guitar teacher at the time, what is it about this intersection? And he said something that I've never forgotten. He said, some people like to say, I love you in private. Some people like to scream it from the rooftops. The message is the same. The message is the same. It's just the way you're saying it is different.
Mm-hmm.
And that always stuck with me.
That's very deep.
Yeah, that always stuck with me.
Okay. So so an alien just landed on Earth.
Mhm.
Okay, and he asks you the question, what's the difference between a jazz player and a blues player? What would you tell him?
Pentatonics versus extremely complex scales I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay.
I think a lot of it, in my opinion, is just the vocabulary that's being used. Well, the way the vocabulary is being used. It's almost like a dialect. You know, if you're a difference in speaking as a Bostonian compared to a Nashville. Because obviously the vocabulary or the harmonic structure and the notes that we use to play, there's no difference. It's 12 notes. It's major 7 major chords or whatnot. But the way we approach playing it. Like, you know, I was teaching some students today using pentatonic scales, actually, because that's actually what tomorrow night's show is about. And I was teaching them how to play through 2-5-1, 5 of 2, using skills that they already possess, because they're rock players. They come from playing rock, but how to sound at least quasi more jazz by using approach notes or enclosures, passing tones in order to get some of the color of jazz, and then on top of that, focusing more on some of the upper structures of the chords. But also letting them know it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. It's just what you choose to do. You know, if you're playing A minor pentatonic, and you know, we're playing our blues scales or whatever, you know, blues licks. But if I play that same A minor pentatonic over top of D minor, then now I get, you know, that ninth in there. That sounds cool. Or more important, like a G7 altered. You know, I'll tell them to play B flat minor pentatonic, and now they get all the altered notes. But I said your vocabulary could stay the same, and I think you need to be who you are. But it's just what your dialect is, and how you're going to pronounce some of those words and put more colors in. I don't know. That's just one of my little hang-ups, I guess.
Yeah, I think that that's exactly right, and that's been one of the things I've been thinking about is, you know, it's just this idea that, like, when you move from one style to another, it's park the car rather than park the car. You know, you're saying the same thing, but you're going to kind of do a little bit of a difference in emphasis. And you know, this is only peripherally related, but you know, Julie and I have this app called Duolingo. I don't know if you've seen it. So it's, you know, okay, so it's a really popular one. You get, like, you know, you get to feel like you're learning a new language even though you're just playing a game for 5 minutes. But
That's true.
so I've been working on trying to learn Japanese, and one of the things I started realizing is that when you watch the Star Wars movies and you listen to Yoda talk, what he's doing is he's using the Japanese sentence structure syntax, but using English words.
Right.
You know, like "sad you are" is that's you know, that's, if you were speaking Japanese, that's how you would say it, but you just use the you know, like that would be the order of the words that you would say. So
You know how they say, the Irish people, instead of saying "I'm sad," they say "sadness is upon me."
sadness is upon me.
Because then you don't own the sadness. It's
Yeah.
not part of who you are. It's just a temporary
Yes,
state.
sadness is upon me. I love that.
I love that too. All right, that's totally going on.
Yeah, so
But what about this? Or this?
right, okay, so
To
say
me,
more about
that's
that.
blues and jazz.
So you use
or-
it, yeah.
It's all about the tone. Just kidding. That is not true.
No, but
But
see,
it is an influence, right?
You're actually right, you know, because you know, like if, you know, right? Then if I play, or better yet, right?
Well, what if you wear a beret?
Huh?
What if you wear a beret?
Oh, we're a beret? Well,
Then
I'd
you're
have to
then
have
you're
a
even more
cigarette
jazzy.
sticking out of my
A
mouth.
cigarette?
Yeah, it's, you know. And then every time you play a chord, you have to kind of do the jazz vibrato.
I just,
Well, I think there's something to that. What you're saying, though, it is about the tone, you know. And and when I have a student come in that they have to learn a jazz standard or something for the semester or whatever, and they start to go solo or even play the melody, and I know my pet peeve when they do that. If we're learning to play a true standard and they're trying to play the true style, is like if they do, all of a sudden they land on the note and they go. And I'm like, no, I don't want any vibrato. I want them to play.
right.
Yeah, so I have them play it just a straight tone. I have them roll back on their tone control on the guitar, put it on the neck pickup. I think
to
that's
change your approach.
partly part of the same thing. It's like parking your car or parking your car. You know, it's part of that same
Parking your car.
dialect. You know,
Pack the car and have
pack
it
the
down.
car and habe.
Actually, you say pack the car though. I mean, we kind of do, but kind of not really.
Oh, I've heard people say it.
Yeah.
It makes me giggle. Because before I moved out here, everybody was like, pack the car and have a yad. You better start getting your accent down.
Okay, but here's something else I've noticed. I want to know if you noticed the same thing. Like, I also have this theory that a country guitar player who's improvising, when they're
Then you have a
when
Telecaster.
they use bends, they're typically imitating the sound of a pedal steel more than they're imitating the sound of like a blues player. Like, you know, B.B. King basically said that he invented bending because he was trying to imitate the sound of a slide. And a slide guitar was meant to imitate the sound of a voice.
Right.
So when he played, he was imitating the sound of a slide player doing that, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of taking your time getting up to that note. Where on a pedal steel, you press down the pedal and a machine changes the pitch, so it kind of feels more precise.
Because they all move at the same rate.
Say again?
All the notes move at the same rate.
Yeah,
And they're-
yeah.
Yeah.
But when we're playing guitar in more of a country sound, it seems to me that if you make your bends like faster and more deliberate to get into pitch, it kind of to me it gets a truer country sound. I think. So
What I can appreciate about country too is they really do play the changes like a jazz
yes.
player might, right?
Well, actually, I would say a great country player is going to play the changes probably more precisely. Because first of all, because the chords are going to be generally simpler, but also there seems to be less chromaticism and
but
less
they
of
do
this
it-
kind of
They do these.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of chroma.
Yeah, but at the same time,
They're not playing the bebop scale.
well, and not only are they not playing the bebop scale, but also like a jazz player can kind of often get away with wandering around the tonality a little bit more before they finally land on a target note.
Yeah.
You know, where I don't think you see that, and I'm editorializing, but I think you don't see that as much in
But you
country.
can hear the chord changes even if the chords aren't happening.
Yeah.
In the solos, and I do love that. Right.
You know?
I think it's because they focus more on the basic triad and they don't worry about all that upper structure stuff so much.
Right.
That's
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bluegrass.
Cool, Liam. What are your thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now
Oh,
we
okay.
can hear you. Yay.
Yeah, I got a new laptop, so I'm trying to get everything set back up the way I had it. So,
It takes a minute.
I don't know. I'd say the quick answer, at least from the blues to the jazz, is the jazz guys aren't going to bend the strings typically at all.
I know you don't hear
Yeah.
like what Alan
Probably because
was
their
doing.
strings are too heavy, unless you're Stevie Ray Vaughan. But
Right.
Um,
Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah.
but yeah, the country guys, I don't know. Yeah, the country guys will do a lot of those, like, the
Yeah, that's the
they get a lot of they don't just bend one string, they're like, kind of creating chords to get that pedal steel kind of thing going
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
love
a
that.
lot of times. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and like you said, the vocabulary, like, well, I guess to the untrained ear, it'll sound like the jazz guys playing out of key probably more often than
Yeah.
any of the other guys. They'll be like, I don't know, that sounds kind of weird, but I don't know. It's, you know, we're too
That's
jaded
cool.
at this point to like, if an alien that never heard music heard the two, I don't know what that would sound like. I can't remember back far enough to, like,
You
when
just
I
have to
didn't
wonder
hear
what are the
jazz or
sounds
anything.
happening on their planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do their ears pick up? We don't know.
Right.
They could hear different tones. They're like, oh, you only use 12?
Right.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah, it could sound completely horrible.
It sounds so strange. It's not tempered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, well, part of what it makes me think about is, you know, as an artist, I've always I've always mostly been a rock player, but I've always got one foot stuck in the jazz world, one foot stuck in blues.
Will you call
You
that
know,
a dabbler?
Yeah, dabbling, yeah, I guess, you know, but,
Trial.
you know, and, you know, and I feel like it can't not influence the music that I end up creating as a result of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, you know, when I started putting this whole thing together, you know, I've been kind of racking my brains try to figure out like what to even say, you know, because you know, I have to create like a half an hour video where it's just me. And oh, by the way, you know, I get so self-conscious when I have to do that. If I'm here with Julie, I'm like totally relaxed because
I'm
she's put
directing.
me
I'm
ease.
like, cut,
But yeah,
cut. Do it again.
yeah.
I traumatize them like Shelley Duvall. Remember The Shining?
Oh God.
She was traumatized during The Shining.
Oh God, yeah, that's right. That was like a whole thing. Like, you know, the director basically did everything he could to try to keep her like just on the edge of her seat, just
Panicked.
being panicked,
Yeah.
and in a state of panic throughout the whole production.
He would make her do one scene for 16 hours or something
Yeah.
crazy like that.
Yeah,
So she was so exhausted and so tired and just so can't even function. And you
Yeah.
can see it.
yeah, yeah.
All right, that's something else. I went on
Yeah,
a tangent.
exactly. So,
All right. What should we do?
nobody feel, so what do
You
you
guys want to play something?
yeah,
How about people on TikTok? Hi, everybody.
what's going on in TikTok world? We're going TikTok live too. Hi, TikTok live.
We're not really paying attention. I look over every so often.
Oh, Julie, look,
there's
it's
some-
the internet.
It's the internet.
It's the interwebs.
Welcome to our live. We've never gone live on TikTok.
Yeah.
And so we thought, why not? So I hope it's not too distracting. If you're just joining us, we're doing Guitar Club tonight. We have our friends joining us on Zoom.
Okay,
And-
all right, I have one. What's the best chord? Tell me the best chord.
And play it.
So two things you have to do. Tell me the best, tell me what the best chord, play the best chord, and then tell me why it's the best chord. Now,
I got it.
we all know there's no best chord, but there's a best chord. And you already know what it is. You know, I'll give you a hint. If you're having trouble, it's the one that you're trying to not play. Okay, Dustin has one. I can see it. Dustin, what's the best chord?
Well, I was going to start with F sharp minor because that's my favorite key, and
Okay.
I know that's very
Okay.
basic. I was also
I
going to
love
go
F
with
sharp
like
It could be basic.
yeah, I was also going to go with basically any sus chord because they're
Okay.
so useful and so big sounding.
Yeah, but
And
you
I
have to
love
pick one.
this particular,
No, you don't.
you know, the bar voicing of the sus2 chord, you know.
Okay, play it.
A big fan of that.
Like
And then
C2? Are you
I was
playing
trying to
this?
remember what this one's called. Is that minor 7 flat? Is that flat 9 or sharp 9? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, that's 7 sharp 9. Judy
7
Hendricks?
sharp 9. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
7
My
add
song
9.
goes all the way
7.
down. Classic.
Those are just the first ones that came to mind. So
All right, cool.
Very useful. Very useful.
James, what's the best chord?
I have a happy one and a sad one. So
Okay.
the sad one, I would say I love the D minor 9.
Oh yes.
It's like how it just leaves this.
I like that. Tricky with the open E string.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
It sounds
I guess
like
this-
something from Queensryche.
right.
Did they
and then maybe like a
Ooh, that is happy.
like a C major 9, I guess.
Oh, the big, okay. Oh, that's nice.
And I could put some
Oh, some beautiful harmonic.
Yeah, do you have 24 frets?
yeah.
Yeah, I've only got 22, so that harmonic a little harder to find.
You're right.
Nice.
Look.
Liam, what's the best chord?
Anyone have
Anything with a 9, really.
this chord is?
Okay.
I like this, like Steve Vai's little.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, nice.
Was that from Sisters?
Yeah,
Is that the-
yeah. Oh, there was another chord. The
Classic.
Alex Lifeson chord.
Ooh.
What
is
song
always
that
great.
in?
I don't know what that is. It's like an F sharp. It's got the
It's got the
like a
third
major
and the
third and a
fourth, right?
suspended 4 in it. It's
Yeah.
got and the 7, a minor 7.
Yeah.
Canadian, I don't know.
That's a question for the interwebs. Right?
Yeah.
So, what's that chord called?
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
called the Alex
I tend
Lifeson
to-
chord.
So,
Could be called anything.
yeah. I call it F sharp 7 add 4.
Yeah, that works.
Would be one way to do it.
All right.
And which kind of points out that naming a chord is very much an art form, I think. Alan
It can
Robinson,
be anything.
Alan Robinson, what's the best chord?
One of my favorite chords would be like C major over F sharp.
Ooh, tension.
C major.
Because I like to use that for I use that for my altered dominant chord voicing all the time.
So flat 9, flat 5.
Yeah, get a lot of interesting stuff out of that I like.
It's like super Locrian over it.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think my fave lately, I don't know, I guess I'm just stuck in all these altered dominant chords. See, you got me hooked on my jazz week, so that doesn't help much. But a dominant 7 with a sharp 9 and a natural 13.
Sharp 9. So what key you doing that in?
I'm doing a G7 with a third. So basically, G's 13 with a B flat on the top. It's like the Mike Stern chord,
Fun.
because then you can play with all the triads, all the major triads from symmetrical diminished over top of it.
Oh, symmetrical.
Get that kind of thing going.
That's moody.
Wow. Okay, cool. I'm stealing that. Thank you.
This one's mine.
Okay, so what is
According to
B major 7 flat 5.
B flat major 7 flat 5?
B flat major 7 flat 5.
Oh yeah.
It's in one of my songs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also love just raise the root up a half step and you have B minor 11. That's one of my faves. But anyway,
Okay. Nice. That's nice.
Well, I've got a question for you, Julie. Then, based on that chord, B flat major, flat 5. I always love to ask this question because everybody's got different opinions about this. It seems. So, if you see it as B flat, did you say B flat? That's what you said, right? B flat major
Flat
7.
Major 7.
Yeah, flat 5. So, when you think of it, if you were to see that chord symbol, do you think of it in the context of getting a Lydian scale? Because do you think is it really a sharp 11, or do you think of it in the context of like being a Lydian augmented scale from melodic minor?
I'd most likely play Lydian over it.
I just ask because I know for me, it's like if I see a flat 5 chord, then I think about the sharp 5 coming with it. If I see a a sharp 11, then I think a Lydian. I'm just curious. I don't know that there's a hard fast rule. I just always like to see what people think about that.
It does sound major.
but it also sounds dark. But Lydian is so happy.
Yeah, no, and I think what he's saying is that
Could be Lydian
if it's Lydian augmented,
What do you raise
So-
up? The sharp 5. Like augmented.
yeah. It's like a D chord over a B flat bass note. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what would you do? I guess it depends on where it's coming from and
Where it's going to.
Yeah, I don't know. I always ask that question because it's kind of I forget where I hit it from. It was I was having a band a long time ago play a Chick Corea electric band tune, and Chick put the chord in there with the flat 5.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I would always use the Lydian scale over. And then I had a friend of mine come up and say, no, try this Lydian augmented, because if it's a flat 5, you should have a sharp 5. And I kind of like, and I wasn't really well adversed in melodic minor stuff at the time, just because I didn't use a lot of it, just playing mainly rock stuff. And so I don't know. So I've always had that old question, because I've got even colleagues that I work with, and they see a flat 5 and they use Lydian, and they see it interchangeable. So I don't know. I just always find that an interesting chord, because chord symbols are just
Depends on what
loaded
color you
sometimes.
want to do.
Yeah, and you know what's funny thing you say? I've always thought of it like, well, okay, so when I play B flat Lydian sharp, B flat major 7 sharp 5, I actually think of it as a D chord over an F sharp bass note.
F sharp?
Yeah, a D chord over a B flat bass note.
Oh, I thought
What
you
did I
said
say?
F sharp.
I might have said
A
F
sharp.
Lydian augmented.
Lydian augmented. Okay, play over this chord as if you were a blues player. We're gonna play country,
good. All right.
blues.
All right, so play
And
the
rock.
chord. So here's a blues player.
Okay, now country. Okay, now metal. All right, you win. John rocked the internet. That is a challenge. All right, so.
Actually, I had a question.
Anybody want to
What-
play something?
I had a question. Like, do you think also like how you might like fingerings you might use for scale would be like because I noticed like a lot of country players they'll like they would do a scale like a cascade like a G major like
Oh, to use the open string.
they'll do that kind of stuff where
Yeah.
that wouldn't work with like distortion,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
like so I wondered like fingering certain types of fingerings would be appropriate for like different styles. Like I know they also do like a lot of those, like those that like that
Yeah.
kind of
They
hybrid
do
picking
a lot of
banjo
hybrid
things, you know?
picking, too, with the right
Yeah,
hand.
those. Yeah.
I love
So
that.
yeah, it's interesting too how some fingerings, how you might play the scale. Like I know with the rock metal stuff, I started with that. There's a lot of 3 note per string patterns worked well for
Yeah.
that. But
Yes.
then like doing a jazz thing, it was almost too like triplety, So you might want to think more like chordal shapes, maybe, or So I wonder what you think about that, like fingerings in terms of those different
You know
styles.
what? That's a really great point because what I tend to think about, I'll say this. I've said this to my students many times that my overall overreaching goal is what I would call ear to hand coordination. I want to be able to hear the sound in my head and have it come out of my instrument without any obstacles.
Yeah.
And that premise is gonna is gonna reach across any of the styles that I might explore. But having said that, if if you're right. If I'm playing an E Aeolian kind of a thing in a rock context, I'm definitely going to trot out some of the 3 note per string scales because it's really good for playing triplety patterns going up and down the fretboard, all in one key and getting the whole fretboard into the game. Whereas if I'm playing on a jazz tune, you play with a chord, then another chord, then another chord, then another chord, then another chord, and you have to be able to kind of keep up with the chord and key changes. So, which to me means you don't really have time to map out the whole fretboard.
Right, it's almost like those scale shapes are too big,
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you could have any note on the entire fretboard. It's
Right.
too overwhelming.
So I was working with a student many years ago, and he's a great player. So one day he came in and I said, okay, so let's start, but we're gonna jam on B flat Dorian or G Dorian. And he sounds great. So okay, now we're gonna go to B flat Dorian. Go. Okay, C Dorian. Go. Okay, now you see how, like I call the key and Julie just kind of jumps to it.
But I'm playing the shape. I mean, it's not like I'm going to do C Dorian here. I mean, I could have.
So what this kid did when I changed keys, he would like stop playing. I could see him squinting his eyes. And he would think for a minute, and then he would jump into the new key, and he'd be like burning over it.
Wow.
And then but then we'd change keys, and he would like stop. He'd think for a
I have
minute.
to think of where it is.
And then he would start to play. So I stopped and I asked him. I said, what are you thinking about when you stop like that? He says, well, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to visualize the entire fretboard. And
Right.
what I was saying was, if we're changing keys fairly quickly, you don't need the whole fretboard. You just need to know what note to get to
A
when the
target.
key. Yeah, So that began, this. This for me, this whole process of
Was
what I
he
would call
like,
target
whoa, mind blown.
notes. Yeah. So
When they're like, okay, play Dorian over the D minor 7, but it's like 180,
right.
2 beats. It's like, I'm not going to play Dorian. I'm just going to find a note, right?
Right.
That's
yeah.
like very overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. So so we talked about this whole idea of like, okay, so if I'm playing G Dorian. And then when you go to B flat. Wait,
Did you say C? Or did
C?
you you go to G?
Okay, yeah, I went to G,
Okay, all right.
but close enough.
I don't know what you, I was guessing.
Yeah, so I mean, so what we started talking about was just this whole idea that like
Fingering.
when you first get to the new key change, don't think about the fingering quite yet. Just get the one note to get your toe into the new key.
Right.
And then a lot of times your ears will kind of help pull you the rest of the way if you know the scales. It doesn't mean that you don't need to know the scales. It's just I think to get into the key signature, you don't necessarily have to visualize the entire thing right
It's
away.
like you gotta just land on your feet first, and then
Yeah, that's kind of what I
go
do.
from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got these 3 notes in Dorian. So if I'm going from Dorian to Dorian to Dorian. So maybe also for constructing a solo, you could draw out these little motifs and you can share it across the different keys.
Yeah.
Right? To me, that makes sense. But then, once you get comfortable in that shape, maybe for me, when I get comfortable in those 4 frets, then I can spread out a little if I have a little more time.
Yeah.
There was a backing track on YouTube that I used to find. I think they had it for like all the modes, but it had like Dorian, and then it would go. It probably went through like in fourths or something like that. But
Okay.
it was always fun to kind of like roll through that. And I think it was in fourths, so it's like what's coming next. But it was always a good challenge to kind of play and then switch and figure out move to the next key. So those are pretty cool.
John, I remember back, I tell my students about this one all the time. One of the exercises that when I came in for a lesson one time with you probably won't remember because you had so many, but I came in, you had a computer set up that day. You didn't usually have a computer sitting there. And you came, and I said, what's going on? He said, well, you got to play a solo over this chord progression. And I said, okay. And I said, what's the chord progression? He goes, well, you can't see it. You had it turned away from me. He said, you can't see it. I said, okay. And I was terrified. And then you said, and you've only got the G string, and you've only got your index finger, and that's all you got. You remember doing it? Because it was a Mick Goodrick
That's
thing.
good at your training.
I do.
Yeah. It was a Mick Goodrick thing. And and that was around the time, I guess, you told me to go get the book, The Advancing Guitarist. And so I went and got that, and that changed a lot. But one of the things, I do that with my students, but the other thing I'll do is I will put them, I teach a lot from modal fragments. I call them modal fragments. So I'll use, because again, I'm a 3-note per string player, even though I've accommodated a lot of cage stuff since being here in the Nashville area and teaching at Belmont. But if I'm doing modal fragments, I do isolation with 2 strings. But I still use the modal fragments. But what I'll have them do is, if I'm saying, for example, we're going to play a Dorian, but we're going to play out of this fragment, and then I take them through the different modes. And a lot of times I'll starting with Dorian. I guess I shouldn't have done that, but I'll start with Lydian. I'll go from the brightest mode to the darkest mode, and I'll have them change right there, only on those 2 strings.
Right.
So they can't do anything beyond that. So if we were doing G Lydian, and then if they had to turn it to G Mixolydian, and then if they had to turn it into G Mixolydian, and then G Dorian. And they would just have to keep going through all the modes in that area. And of course, it starts moving them down the fretboard. But I found that to be a kind of a cool way of just getting fragments. And the reason I like doing the fragments is probably, again, from that 80s playing kind of thing, that I could take them and just, just run 6-note group, and it just made it easy. But I found that pretty cool for learning the keys and the notes, though.
Well, the thing I particularly like about that is that you're playing fragments like that. You start to see how one fragment connects to the next fragment in the same key or scale that you're using, which encourages more of this kind of.
Oh man, that's
movement.
when my whole life changed.
Yeah,
The
right.
first time I went.
Right.
I think Joe Satriani taught me that.
Yes, same thing Alan's kind of saying. I remember I did this one course where it was just all relearning the pentatonics in 2-string groupings, but
Right.
going this way. And it was like the Dweezil Zappa thing that he had.
Right.
I think it might be a True Fire thing or something. Like I remember that thing and how it just changed the way I thought of mapping out the pentatonics, and it was like just so freeing, you know.
Yeah, you're not just stuck anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have all of this.
Yeah, there's an approach that I teach. I call it fretboard geometry, and basically what you do is you map out a pentatonic scale moving this way up and down the fretboard on 2 strings, like you said, but also moving this way across sets of strings, and then also diagonally this way and diagonally this way. And what's so interesting about that is that there's all these relationships that come up that are kind of surprising. You know, because the guitar at its root is organized in half steps this way and fourths going this way.
Yeah.
And the opposite of fifths is fourths, or the opposite of fourths is fifths. So if I'm going up in fifths, right? So, right.
Having them all under your fingers.
And what's kind of cool about that, I think, is that it just really gives you a lot of freedom in terms of being able to navigate the fretboard,
Right.
which is great for rock improv. You know, when you're dealing with chord progressions that are going to be sort of static, you know.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Right?
Then you don't even have to think about keys or chords.
Right.
Yeah, it's true, because I remember, learning my scales this way, but then I would see all my favorite players were going this way.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Right.
well, that's cool.
Another cool thing I learned from the fragments, though, is like another thing I make them explore is you get, if you're changing the modes, but even out of that one fragment, like if I'm doing this out of G major, I could think of it as the Locrian fragment, I guess. But the things that I have them explore is, well, what else do you find in that fragment? So they can find a G major arpeggio, an F sharp diminished arpeggio. They could find G major and A minor in thirds. They could find an augmented fifth, a diminished fifth. They could find a perfect fifth there. They could find a second there. They could find a sixth there.
The D major first inversion.
That's smart.
Yeah. So they yeah, exactly. They find all the different
All right
inversions
there.
of the
What
chords, and they find all these fourths, and so they explore that. And then I'll have them, after they do a few of them, what I then do is say, okay, so where are your half steps and whole steps? Like, especially if I'm trying to teach a rock player to play jazz, which I'm trying to teach me to play jazz all the time. So when I'm thinking about it, if I took like the G major fragment, then I see a whole step and a whole step and a whole step and a whole step, and then all of a sudden I apply my Pat Metheny cheat, that kind of thing. And also,
say more about that. What's the Pat Metheny cheat?
I call it the Pat Metheny cheat because what I did was, because I could never absorb Pat's stuff. When I first came to Berkeley, Mark White was my first teacher. And Mark gave me this Pat Metheny stuff, and he's so good at it. And I was like, this is cool stuff, and I have no clue what's going on. So I hated Pat. I hated him. But after a while, I finally went and got the Questions and Answers album, and I analyzed Pat's solo. I transcribed a bunch of it that I could, and I analyzed Pat's solo. And he did this rhythmical, this motif, where like if I had A minor 7, that if I started from the root, I could pass chromatically through to the flat 7, and then chromatically approach the 5th.
Okay.
He did that lick or a variation of that lick. Maybe it's just more simplistic, just go into the fifth. He did that lick 38 times, 37 to 38 times
Wow.
in the context of that solo. But every time, not every time, but many times it was from different tones. So what I started doing was I looked at a chord, like if I got A minor 7 and I said, okay, if I did it from the root, I go through the flat 7 to the 5th. If I do it from the 9th, then I can get from the 9th to the root to the 13.
Yeah.
If I do it from the 11th, I pass through to the flat 7 to the root. If I did it from the 5th, I go to the 11th to the 9th. And so I started figuring all these little ways of doing it. And it was very limiting at the time. And I would throw them in when I could. But then when I started seeing all these whole steps in the fragments, I started piecing it together.
I see.
And then that led me to playing lines like, watch me screw this one up really well. Those kind of lines. And I was like, well, that sounds quasi-Metheny-ish, so
But it also sounds
I'm
a
going to
little
still
country.
it.
Kind of
Almost sounds like a sax player too.
Yeah, and I guess, and that's what I liked, because I was it seems like all these jazz and fusion guitarists all wanted to sound like Michael Brecker. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a good sound to go for.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love that.
So, so quick story for everybody else. So Alan was a student of mine way back in the day, and
Not that far back.
not that far
You're
back,
not
but
that
it
old.
was a while ago. So we were talking about this whole pentatonic idea, and I was talking about geometric shapes with him, and talking about boxes and rectangles and trapezoids and things like that, right? And 2 weeks after I talked to him, he came back to me. He goes, "John, do you remember the boxes and the triangles and the rectangles and all that stuff?" He goes, "I have something for you. You ready? Triangles." And then he showed me this whole thing
Triangle.
that he had worked out that had to do with and it's basically a triangle as a way to think about a triad shape. It's a triangle if you think about it, right? And he had this whole thing worked out that was just completely off the hook. So
And then backwards triangles and frontwards triangles.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah. So I've never forgotten that. Thank you very much. You're still a genius.
Thanks for sharing with us, you guys. This has
Yeah.
been fun.
Yeah, this has been cool. So when are we gonna? When's the next one?
I can't look on my phone right now,
Okay,
but
hold on.
maybe March.
I can look.
Maybe the first Monday in March. Where are you
March?
looking
Really?
at March?
Are we into March already?
Well, it's February 3rd today.
So,
March
John,
3rd.
when are you planning to try to wrap up that Two Monkeys?
Oh yeah, we're still
Thing.
waiting to see.
I've kind of got it on hold because I'm waiting for some people.
You gonna
Oh,
do
yeah.
it?
One of those being me, because
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
I
make
suck
a
and I
deadline.
can't play over
Okay.
2 chords.
What if we made a deadline for March 3rd?
Yeah, that would help. Deadlines help for me.
Yeah.
yeah.
That would
We'd love
help.
to have you on it.
That would help
does
for me
everybody
because
have
I want to
like
be on that too, and I did not have time over the holidays to get around to doing that. So
Okay. So
Well,
does
March 3rd
everybody
would be
have the
great.
resources they need?
Yes, I have the
You gotta
backing
have the
track
backing
and the
track.
charts and everything. Yeah.
The chart.
Okay.
So what you'll do is you'll record yourself, but you'll have to listen on headphones or earbuds while you're recording, so that we can have your guitar isolated.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a DAW, you can just separate it out. And then we'll need a video because it is a video.
Yeah. So. I'm gonna say Two Monkeys deadline.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
We'll put
and
it out
it'll be March 3rd, 7 p.m.
Do you guys get the reminder emails for this? Does that help? Maybe I'll put that in there too. If you're joining us on TikTok, we do a Zoom once a month called a Guitar Club. That's what you're watching right now. We play music, we talk guitars, and we talk anything, improvisation, stuff like that. So thanks for hanging.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so if I get the videos your videos before then,
Maybe we could do a big premiere.
yeah, yeah, that'd be great. So what I would need is film, film the solo.
Do you want
Um,
it landscape?
I have them
Portrait.
all. I have them all laid out as some of them were submitted as portrait, but most of them mine was landscape.
So do landscape if you're gonna do on your phone,
Yeah,
so we can have a nice wide screen.
yeah,
But we can adjust for portrait, right?
yeah.
It puts the little stuff on the sides.
So yeah, there's a couple of ways that you can. If you're going to do it on your phone, probably the simplest way is to be listening to the track, and then
In headphones.
in headphones, and then just play and just record. Use the phone to record, and then what I can do is I can take your solo and sync it back up with the track. The only thing is I would just need to know where beat one is. So at some point it'd be useful if you do it that way. Just
Something
give me
like
some
that.
kind of a count off.
You could even go 1, 2, skiddly diddly do. That's
If
my
you want,
favorite
yeah,
one.
we like that. Another way you can do it is you can, what I did was I recorded my guitar separately to a DAW, and then, like isolated the track versus the backing track, and they just mixed them, and they did that at the same time I was recording the video. And then just afterwards, just kind of merged everything. So if you want to do it that way, that's fine too.
But if you only have the capability to take a video on your phone, make sure you're listening to the backing track in headphones. That way we will have your guitar isolated and we can mix it
Yeah.
into the backing track ourselves.
And send me an email at jfinn@berkeley.edu if you have any questions
Right,
about any of it too. All right?
it's a fun solo.
Yeah, it's really fun to do, and it'll be really fun to hear the different approaches that people are taking.
Yeah,
Julie's is killing.
Alan's is killing.
Alan's is killing too.
Yours is awesome. Yours is always awesome, so. All right, well, thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful month. Happy playing. Stay
Thank you.
tuned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, Hank.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.